Hello and welcome to another episode of Focus on Tomorrow. I am your host, Bakker. Focus on Tomorrow is a non-profit located in 107 West Winboro Street, Suite 202, Chicago, Illinois 60605. You could also contact us at website www.focusontomorrow.org. You could email us at www.focusontomorrow.org. Today my guest is Will Brusso. Hi, Will.
Hey, how you doing, Bakker?
Good. We will first start by asking you, can you tell me what is Focus on Tomorrow?
Sure. Focus on Tomorrow is an education nonprofit, as you just said a couple minutes ago, that works with high school students who are mainly interested in video production. And we have a variety of programs that serve high school students at a very basic level, where we just teach them the ins and outs of our editing platform, how to use cameras, things like that. And then we go to a very advanced level, like the one that you're seeing right now, this program, where we take some students and give them the opportunity to host their own television show. So congratulations to you for reaching this level.
Yeah. And what is the mission behind Focus on Tomorrow?
Sure. So the mission behind Focus on Tomorrow is that we strive to create and improve creative programs at the high school level. We work to challenge students to find their creative potential and take it to a level that will benefit them for many years to come. So that's kind of our mission, and we're now in our fourth year, and we're pretty good at it. So,
how many years have you been in the TV industry?
In the TV industry, I have been. This shows my age, but I'm coming up on 20 years now, in different capacities. I have worked on the production side, holding cameras and floor directing and things like that. But on more recently, I've been on the business side. I've worked in finance at local stations here in Chicago and a couple throughout the country.
Can you name some?
Yeah, I believe so. ABC 7 was the most recent station that I worked at. I was there for 11 years in the accounting department. A great place to work, had a lot of great co-workers, and decided to leave to pursue this venture, Focus on Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. What is your motivation for creating Focus on Tomorrow?
There's a story behind that. That's not an easy answer. Focus on Tomorrow, let me start here. So when I was in high school, I was a part of a video production program at my high school. And it was a very cool program. We got to produce a 5-minute live television show every single day. And the content was very basic. We read the announcements. We talked about issues that were happening in the school in 5 minutes, and it was such a basic show, but it felt like a big deal to us. Anyway, that was in Miami, Florida, which is where I'm from, and down there, their school system is facing as many challenges as our school system is facing here in Chicago, and that program was cut because of poor financing in the state. So I posted a picture of the broken up control room for that program on Facebook, and a lot of the alumni from that program saw it. And they reached out to me and they expressed concern because that program had put them on a path to develop successful careers in television and the film industry. So the alumni got together. We rebuilt the program for the school, and we're happy to say that 5 years later, it is still in existence. So yeah, we're pretty happy that we rebuilt that, and that's why we built Focus on Tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. Who are the founders of Focus on Tomorrow, and what caused them to create this organization?
Right. So the alumni are the founders. There are many of them that were a part of the original group that rebuilt that program at Braddock Senior High School in Miami. But the founders that have stuck around that are now part of the board are some high school colleagues of mine, Juan Reyes, who is a photographer out in Los Angeles. George Fitari, who works for a content distribution company here in the States, but imports content from all over the world. And Juan Gonzalez, who works for, I believe, Chiron, who is also it's a media vendor company as well. So those are the co-founders. They all came from that same high school, and now we kind of work towards building education programs that directly impact students.
Okay, your first program was started in Miami, right?
Right.
And what caused you to make program over there?
Well, it was over there or over here?
Over there.
Over there. So yeah, we needed to rebuild that program because it was in Miami, because it was very, very important to us anyway, because we came from that high school. But then once we rebuilt it, we were left with this nonprofit that was organized. We already had this ball rolling. And I decided I wanted to volunteer some of my time here in Chicago, since this is where I live now. And I reached out to a couple of different high schools and met some students that were interested in video production. To my surprise, a lot of high schools have production programs like the one that I was used to at my school. And I met some students that wanted to hang out on Saturdays and take their skills to the next level. And that's how we started here in Chicago, and that was about 4 years ago. Well, like 3.5, and yeah, some of those students have now graduated high school and actually still work for Focus on Tomorrow.
Okay, what's it called? Your second program is in here in Chicago, right?
Yes.
And
right.
What have you learned in Miami that made Chicago easier place?
I don't know that I learned anything that made our programs run any easier, because they're so different. The program that we built in Miami was at a high school. We do still have a workshop in Miami that runs for about 8 weeks, but it's only 8 weeks a year. It's a little different than what we do here. Here in Chicago, we have an After School Matters program where we work with 15 kids during the fall and the spring for 10 weeks, teach them how to edit, how to shoot video, how to tell stories. We have this program here on CAN TV. We have a program at the elementary level in the South Loop. We have a work program where some of our more advanced students get to work on real gigs, and they get to work alongside professionals, and they work on a set and get paid. So it's pretty cool, the different avenues that we've been able to build here in Chicago for students who are really interested in this. As far as what I've learned, from one city to the next, kids. I've learned that kids are pretty much the same no matter what city you're in. They really just want a shot. They want someone to teach them something that they will benefit from and take with them for the rest of their lives. And I love that. I love that about young people, that they are willing to learn. They're like little sponges, just craving information. And I've been able to take that and just sort of build upon that and get more kids into different programs. And when I see kids developing skills that I think they can take to a different level, I can move them into something that's a little bit more advanced and challenging. Just so that they are, number one, not bored, and two, developing at a level that will benefit them for many years.
Okay, you used to work at ABC 7 News, right?
I did.
What's it called? How did working at ABC 7 News contribute to what are you doing right now at Focus on Tomorrow?
Well, at ABC I worked in the finance department, which might not seem relevant, but it really is. When I build out my budgets for Focus on Tomorrow, they pretty much look just like ABC's budgets. They have the same format because that's what I was used to working with for 11 years. And those people taught me so much finance knowledge that I definitely could not be running Focus on Tomorrow if it wasn't for what I learned there at ABC. Those people were gracious, and they basically taught me the way that I've taught so many other students. So yeah, so that's kind of what I've learned. And that might not seem like a lot, but it really is a big deal to know how to run a business. And when someone is teaching you that, over a long period of time, you really walk away with valuable knowledge.
Okay. What does Focus on Tomorrow teach the youth about video production?
Well, we teach them that telling a story visually is a valuable skill. Anyone that knows anything about television knows that viewing habits are changing, right? I mean, we're not all sitting in front of the television anymore to get our content, our video content. We watch shows all over the place, right? We watch shows on our phones, we watch shows on our tablets, we watch shows on our computers. This show, I think, is being streamed on CanTV's website. So, there's that viewing habit is changing, and I think that when you become an adult and you're ready to work in media, the landscape for that industry will be different. And I think that teaching kids how to tell a story is still going to be a valuable skill, because even though the platforms are changing, media content will always be important. It will always be on demand, or in demand, I should say. So that's really what we focus on the most. For example, we teach our students how to edit on Final Cut Pro 7, which is kind of an outdated software, but it's still similar to some other products like Adobe Premiere. So we focus more on the storytelling aspect than on like the technology itself, because technology is ever changing, and what I learned to edit on 20 years ago is nowhere near in existence anymore. So
That's true.
Yeah, as long as you can tell a story, you'll be okay. Yeah.
Yeah. What have you learned from the positive setbacks and the positive outcomes and the negative setbacks of working at Focus on Tomorrow?
The positive, I think I kind of went over a little bit ago. I love working with kids because they love to learn. They crave information. And when I see a student who might not have even been interested in editing and then suddenly starts taking to it, and they're like, oh yeah, I see how this works, and now I'm kind of into it, that is really rewarding. There's no price you can pay on that. You can put on that. The negative setbacks are, some students you kind of lose control and sight of, and living here in Chicago, sometimes we get bad news about students, and sometimes it's way too often. One of the high schools I work at here in Chicago has lost 4 students this school year. 3 students, 1 alumni. And I think that's the count might be even higher. It's only October, and I think that's a negative setback to these kind of programs. You start to develop a relationship with some of these students, and when you lose them that way, it's heartbreaking.
Right. Focus on Tomorrow has been creating Chicago high schoolers benefit. What are the benefits of them learning in a safe environment?
Well, yeah, exactly, right? I mean, we're taking kids, since most of our programs are after school programs, we're taking kids and putting them in a safe environment so they can learn something that's productive. I don't necessarily assume that every single student that sits in my classroom is going to fall in love with video production or want to do it professionally. That's true. But for that 2.5 to 3 hour period that I have them, they are in a safe environment. They're not in jeopardy, and I feel good about that. I feel good that I can take 15 kids, for a few weeks, and put them in a place that enriches their lives and keeps them safe, and that's really rewarding. So, yeah, I hope to keep doing that for many years, man.
Yeah. What type of programs are in Focus on Tomorrow?
So there are real basic education programs where students can learn the basics of the technology behind creating videos. One of them is at Innovations High School, where we go in well, I go in and teach a couple hours every single day. And then we have after school programs, one at an elementary school, one that's partnered with After School Matters, job placement programs, the Scan TV program. So we have a couple different programs, and then we have what you were describing earlier in Miami. We have that 8-week program down there as well, and that's just a way for me to give back to the city that I'm from. But we hire someone down there to do that. It's not really me, so I don't necessarily get a direct benefit from that program, except that I'm helping my city that I grew up in. There's obviously more programs here in Chicago because this is where I live, and I'm directly impacted by our neighborhood. So yeah, I love building here.
Okay. Have you seen the youth benefit from this program?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that question. If I could share another story, like I said earlier, a lot of our students are not going to go into production work, and they're not going to be cameramen. Some really want to be, and some really don't. One of my first students that I ever worked with here in Chicago, I'll just say his first name. His name was Ramiro. He was an interesting student because he was really shy and reserved, and he was among these other students who were really outgoing and ambitious, and he didn't really want to do too much in front of the camera. And one day he was telling me that he liked to cook, and I was on him. I said, well, you got to find your passion, man. So we got him an internship at ABC with one of the cooking shows that they were producing there. And the chef of that cooking show is also the dean at a culinary school here in Chicago. Well, Ramiro and him hit it off, and Ramiro expressed an interest in going to that culinary school. And he did. Not only did he finish his degree, but he also is now a chef at a restaurant here in Chicago. So there's an example of someone who didn't necessarily benefit from all of the production education that we put forth in our curriculum, but someone who at least we were able to steer in the right direction. Someone who came up to me and expressed an interest in something, and I was able to push him in that right direction. And to this day, I keep in touch with him. Yeah, I went to his restaurant a couple weeks ago. I love the guy. I love what he's doing with his life. And it's that type of outcome that is totally rewarding and makes all of this worth it. So I hope the next time I'm on here I get to have more stories like that.
Yeah. I understand how Chicago is a larger place than Miami, and how do you balance both of them at the same time?
Yeah, when it comes time to put together the Miami 8-week program, it gets a little crazy. In fact, I'm coming up on that season now, so I have to start wrapping my head around that. And then at the same time, I'm looking at other cities as well. So it gets pretty stressful. It gets really stressful because I have to have my hands in many different pots. But I'm lucky because a couple of the students that I originally worked with here in Chicago are now in college, and they've stuck around, and they help me out. They come in and they work for Focus on Tomorrow, and they sort of take ownership of some of these programs, so that I don't necessarily have to be everywhere myself, and that sort of helps me balance some of these new programs that I want to create. Or bring back, like the Miami program. Okay. So yeah.
What's it called? Do you have any desires to expand Focus on Tomorrow?
Yeah. So yeah, I was just kind of brushing over that. Yeah, I do. I want to expand into Los Angeles. One of my board members, who I talked about earlier, Juan Reyes, he's a photographer out in Los Angeles, and we want to build a workshop out there for some of our at-risk students out there. And we just want to try to get our product into as many markets as possible and help as many kids that we can So that's next on the list. I don't know how I'm going to pull that off, and Miami and Chicago at the same time, but I love the challenge, and I love reaching as many kids as possible. So I'm going to do my best.
Yeah, sounds good. What's it called? What are the creations between the after-school programs?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What are the creations for the after-school programs?
So most of the programs end with some sort of final video that tells a story on some sort of topic, and these topics can range in from like spoken word poems to public service announcements. Sometimes we go out and we interview people in the community, different nonprofits, different business owners, and we make like little commercials for their businesses. So, you know, every product is different. What I try to do is I try to, at the beginning of each session, gauge the interests of the students and have them work on a video that they're going to be interested in. Because if I just assign them to work on a certain topic, that video is probably not going to be very good. You have to feel your topic and be passionate about it, because then you'll see that in your results. So that's kind of what our final videos are about, and yeah.
What are some cool parts about after-school programs?
Man, there's so many cool parts. I sometimes feel like my job is one of the coolest jobs in the world, because we're playing with cameras, we're making funny videos, sometimes dramatic videos, and everything is different. Nothing is ever the same, and I like that. I like that nothing is ever the same, because when I worked in finance, you can imagine a spreadsheet full of numbers is a spreadsheet full of numbers, and every month you do the same thing. But now my job is different every single day, and even though I'm going to the same places, like the kids bring different ideas, and I love that. I love that about my job. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see how long we can keep it going.
What are the relationship between Innovation High School and what's it called, and the program, after school program? Is there any connection?
Yeah, well, there is. When Focus on Tomorrow goes into innovations, we are recruiting students as well into our after school program, so that's a connection. You know, we teach a similar curriculum. It's a little bit more basic at Innovations, just because some students are taking that class just to satisfy credits for graduation, and they're not necessarily interested in, or I should say, they're not as passionate about video production. The students who come into my after-school program select that program as an enrichment program, so they're a little bit more passionate about it, and they come in with a different attitude. But yeah, sometimes I find kids at Innovations and pull them into my after-school, and we're together even more time every single day, and projects get even better.
Yeah. What is it called? Have the number of students increased on your program?
Well, yeah, they have. As we continue to add programs, we continue to add more kids to our little circle of friends, I guess. And our summer program with After School Matters has doubled in size. So we're reaching about 200 kids every single year now, which I'd like that number to be higher, but it's a good number for our small team right now. And yeah, we'll try to keep it growing.
Can you also tell us how the technology has been changed on this program?
Yeah, technology has changed because we've been able to get more funds to buy newer cameras, DSLR cameras, things like that. Things that I think that the kids are more into. Like just yesterday or last week, we bought some boom mics for them. So this week they'll be learning how to operate those boom mics. So yeah, the technology is always changing, and as it continues to change, we have to change, because otherwise we're doing it as a service to our kids.
Okay, we have a minute left, and can you tell us some future goals about this program?
You know, my goal is just to continue to keep serving this great city of Chicago and the wonderful youth that fills it. So my goal is just to continue to grow these programs and learn from other nonprofits who are doing other great work around the city. So yeah, I just try to keep an open mind and keep it moving forward.
Okay, this is a reminder that Focus on Tomorrow is a nonprofit located in 107 West Wenboro Street, Suite 202, Chicago, Illinois 60605, not 60600. Our website is www.focusontomorrow.org. You could also email us at focusontomorrow.org. I would like to thank Will Brusso for having
Hey,
joining me.
please. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.